All right, folks, Mercury goes direct on March the 28th. Today is March the 25th, and we are going to be feeling the effects of Mercury going stationary and preparing to go direct all week. I'm feeling it today. So you're going to be feeling this in 3 or 4 ways. First and foremost, all the typical Mercury retrograde things are going to become exaggerated. Example, you were thinking of traveling somewhere and now you realize that you're going to stay put. You were going to stay put, but you're going to end up traveling. Airports are closed, airplanes, flights are delayed, it takes 3 times longer to get somewhere, meetings, technology, all that stuff does not go according to plan. You have no control over your time. You think your days are going to go a certain way, and this is really at the crux of it. You think your days in your life are going to go according to a certain plan, and you are no longer in charge of that plan. That control is taken away from you, and what you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, which can leave you quite frazzled and stressed, is the fact that the best laid plans will go awry, and the things that Mercury rules in order to allow us to effectively execute communication, commuting, cognition, transactions are going to go awry. Conversations with customer service, airports, Uber, Lyft, cabs, public transportation. You go to a restaurant and you order food and you come back and you realize that half or part of the order is not exactly what you ordered. Those energies are going to become exaggerated from today till the end of the month. And I would indeed say, coming to point number 2, that traditionally when Mercury is retrograde, but particularly when it is stationary, traditionally we say it is not a time to make decisions and it is not a time to act. It is not a time to sign contracts. It is not a time to put pen to paper. Your thinking and your decision making is not rational, and as a result of which you may change your mind or regret whatever it is that you decide to do at present. Some people say, oh, I'm going to wait for Mercury to go direct. I'm going to make my decision on March the 29th and March the 30th. I would say no. Wait for Mercury to start moving and to gather some speed and to help our cognitive abilities, and wait for them to wake up and be more awake. You know, let them have their cup of coffee. Let them have a slice of toast before you really start to exercise their power. There's no point trying to push a sleepy planet. Let it start to move, and then you can see what it is that you need to do. So if you can postpone decision making, even I would say to the new moon of April the 5th, I would strongly advise it. This is not the time to be convinced that you know exactly what to do. The third thing is a little bit more interesting to me, and that is for you to, in the middle of the frazzledness, if you can find some quiet time to really think about what is it that this Mercury retrograde period has revealed to you. It's an active revelation, especially this year. Now, as I've told you in previous videos, this Mercury retrograde may well have something to do with crises created by the eclipses in Pisces in 2015-2016, particularly late 2015, first 3 quarters of 2016. It could be that those energies were reactivated when Mars entered Pisces November the 15th of 2018 till December the 31st of 2018. And then Mercury was the next planet to come into Pisces on February the 10th. February the 10th, Mercury comes in. March the 5th. Is there anything that happens this week that is somehow correlated to March the 5th or the new moon in Pisces on March the 6th? And then Mercury was retrograde, and on March the 28th, it goes direct. March the 28th to April the 17th is a different phase, and I will cover that later. Indeed, I will say March the 28th to April 17th, which is the date Mercury leaves Pisces, but I'm going to say it's actually April the 5th to April the 20th. That's when some of the magic can happen. But it's not happening right now. And this is not a week to jump into the pool and say, I'm going to start swimming. I've already covered point number 1. Snafus will occur, and your time and your life will not be your own, and that will be exaggerated. And when Mercury goes direct after it has been retrograde, for some reason the retrograde energies become really kind of... And if you're like me, you have been feeling them today on the 25th. Number 2, relationship to 2015, 2016, and those time periods that I've mentioned, November the 15th to December the 31st. Number 3, take the time and try and understand what has been revealed. March the 5th to March the 28th. As Mercury went backwards, so Mercury was going forwards from February the 10th, and it slowed down, and March the 5th, it went back. March the 15th to March the 28th, what do you now know and understand, especially if it concerns murky matters? What do you understand about a certain amount of murkiness that you may have been dealing with that is clearer to you now, as ironic as it seems, as a result of having gone through this retrograde from March the 5th to March the 20th? You don't have to put a bow on it. You don't have to put pen to paper. I've already covered the pen to paper thing. It's not a time to make decisions. The best use of the time is to reflect on, what have I learned? As Mercury went in reverse, and it has been reversing, as you reversed back everything you traveled from February the 10th, what did you see in the same waters that you missed the first time? And now when it goes direct after the 28th, and particularly after the April 5th, we'll cover that in a separate video. You're going to travel those same degrees again. So what has been revealed as you have been swimming through murky waters? And part of those swimming through murky waters is related to the video I did last time that covers what Mercury's retrograde in Pisces, or Mercury's transit in Pisces, would really feel like anyway. So I'm not going to elaborate on that. But what has been revealed as you have had to wade backwards in these murky waters in murky ways. Finally, I'm going to leave you with a word that may be quite helpful in this re-evaluation. And with Mercury retrograde, anything becomes essential. Replan. Sometimes replan in the moment. Review. Reconsider. Everything. So as you review everything that you've gone through since February the 10th, but especially through March the 5th, as you get ready for this next phase, I would ask you to consider what the word detachment means to you. What does the word detachment mean to you? Why? Mercury is out of sorts in the sign of Pisces, opposite the sign of Virgo, which it rules. Virgo is all about control and management. Using your mind and using data and using information to make the best possible decisions and to manage things effectively so that life can be successful and projects can be successful. Mercury is not in Virgo. Mercury is in Pisces. And Pisces, if Virgo is all about control, Pisces is all about letting go of control. And so, in some ways, effective operation, in some ways, the key word here, in everything that you have gone through, while Mercury is in Pisces, the key, the lesson, the enlightenment is going to come through detachment. And it's not, leaving something is not detachment. Departure is not detachment. So it's not walking out of a room. It might be a little bit more of a shrugging the shoulders. It may have something to do with not being attached to an outcome. But even none of those examples or scenarios really accurately describe what it is that I'm trying to say to you. Mercury this week is very closely aligned with Neptune. Not only is it underwater in Pisces when it likes the clear light of day, not only is it out of sorts because it is in the opposite energy of a sign it rules, and Mercury is a planet that manages and controls and helps us manage and control, and underwater it cannot. It is not on land. It is not in the air. And it is traveling closely with Neptune that rules Pisces, the king of the oceans. So it also happens to be hanging out with, not only has it been wading backwards, and because it's Mercury wading backwards, everything has seemed even murkier, then it is with Neptune. So the quality of deceptiveness and the quality of murkiness exaggerates. And then Mercury happens to be hanging out with Neptune. You know, a person, it can, not only does it not get Neptune, it can probably barely stand Neptune. So again, this is a week to be observant, Look at correlations about what emerged this week and what is revealed this week as it relates to March the 5th, November 15th to December 31st of last year, 2018, and crises related to 2015, 2016, and ponder what the word detachment would mean to you. And I will leave it at that, because in many ways we are going to be forced. You cannot bring control when you're in the depths of the ocean. You don't have what you need to manage and control your environment. When you're in the depths of the ocean, you're going to have to work with the energies, as uncomfortable as they are, in oceanic ways. And you're going to have to rely on the fact that this Mercury retrograde happened in Pisces for a reason. And indeed, Mercury's presence here and Venus's presence here till April the 20th, 17th and 20th is happening for a reason. And you're going to have to adapt and adopt. You're going to have to adapt. You're going to have to adopt a slightly more Piscean approach that is less about putting things in their place and more about deploying a cosmic understanding to how it is that things work. And using whatever the word detachment means to you to navigate the crisis. I always said that the Mercury retrograde period would bring a crisis. And it may not have been as loud, as noisy as that word may imply, but I can tell you, after talking to people and after experiencing this myself, as I head towards March the 28th, especially after that full moon of the 20th, the crisis is here. And so the question becomes, as you ponder things, and it is not, I'm not asking you to come up with an answer, I'm not asking you to come up with an action, I'm not asking you to come up with a decision. I'm actually saying, remain open, be careful of not putting pen to paper on something when next week you may regret it or feel very differently about the situation. Let Venus's entry start to do some of the healing work. But ponder two things. What has been revealed to you during this Mercury retrograde period, and I've mentioned other dates to consider, and what does the word detachment mean to you when it comes to how could you care less and trust more? How could you care less and trust more? Where does the act of caring for something become over-caring and then becomes caring about and getting invested in an outcome in such a way that the control energy just becomes maniacal? The same control that can make, in management, that can make certain things successful starts to, beyond a certain point, make things unsuccessful. And at that point in time, detachment is needed. So what does letting go of control, what does caring less mean and look like in this situation? Because you're not going to get what it is that you want by trying to control the situation, by trying to be maniacal. And be careful that you don't settle for getting something out of this that is not really what you want. So if you want a successful relationship, but you are going to choose to dominate, you might get a victory, but you're not going to get a successful relationship. And always remember, every victory is a hollow victory, because you're really only being victorious over something that is God's creation, either another person or a circumstance or a situation. So it is never about victory. Any victory only leads you into more battle. You can even look at this historically. The First World War and the Treaty of Versailles led to the Second World War, and we know where that, and the Cold War. It's just the idea of constant one-upmanship. So what is it that you really want as Venus gets ready to enter Pisces tomorrow? It's a great question to ponder. This is an Astro Tid-Bit. It's 15 friggin' minutes long. What is it that you really want? And how can you, when Venus comes in after tomorrow and as you head towards April the 5th and beyond April 5th, use the skill and power of diplomacy and relating and kindness and sweetness, Venusian talents, to get what you really want and not what you think you might want right now? Are you wanting something that is temporary and in the interim and not exactly what you want? Is what you're wanting subpar? Is what you're wanting not exactly what you really want out of the situation? What is it that you really want? Do you want a relationship, or do you want a better relationship with yourself? You know, Mercury, I'm thinking of different clients, different things, different situations here. So reflect on what the Mercury retrograde has brought you, and reflect on what the word detachment means to you. If control has become a little bit too maniacal because you're out of sorts and are being pulled underwater by the king of the oceans, what has been revealed? What do you know that feels and has felt murky over the past 3 weeks? What do you want? What do you know? And as you think of solutions and what it is that you want to go after, both the word detachment are important, but the larger question becomes, with Venus's entry into this part of the chart, the second lucky planet, a helpful planet, why not go after what it is that you really want? Why not go bigger? Why not go more loving? Why think that what it is that you really want is somehow going to be denied to you?